On behalf of my entire family, it is my privilege and my pleasure to pay tribute to Mr. Fred Blonigen. Fred was my high school religion teacher, teacher for my wife Amy, and teacher for some of our children. And he is the 2019 Red and White Honoree. To get this evening started, we've selected a few words to describe Fred. He's a devoted husband, a dedicated teacher, faithful servant, zealous Johnny football fan, which is a little hard to take for this guy who went to St. Thomas. But Fred is a prayerful, humble, and private man. Really, this admirable list could go on and on. He is a man who heard God's call, faithfully answered that call, and performed his duties well. We did think about Fred's life and his career, and we know that he's a man of many talents, and he could have chosen a multitude of career paths. And he would have excelled in each and every one of them. For example, did you know that Fred enjoys biking? What if he had chosen to train to be a champion bicyclist? I think it's safe to say there would be no doping scandals. Or perhaps a professional baseball player. If you ever played catch with Fred, you knew he had a nasty curveball. I think he would have been a true hometown hero. Are you looking at these pictures, Fred? How about a football player? This one's my favorite. I think it's safe to say there would be no Deflategate. Everyone knows Fred never cheats. Well, we mentioned Johnny football. I do think Fred would have made a great coach. He too would have coached with no whistles, blocking sleds, or tackling in practice. How about a musician? With Fred's music and sense of morality, we parents wouldn't have to worry about censoring the lyrics. I don't know where they found that photo, Fred. We had to dig deep for that one. What if Fred had decided to pursue acting? Think of the possibilities. I think he would be the one to fight the dark side. Or I offer this, something a little more classical. I think the hills would be alive with the sound of Fred and Julie's music. Right? Fred had another hidden talent, and that was basketball. Many of us made the mistake of challenging this unassuming religion teacher to a game of horse or pig, and we fell victim to his accurate shot. We noticed striking similarities to the great Larry Bird. He did something between college and coming to St. Agnes. Perhaps he would have chosen a career in the military. I think many soldiers would have followed this fearless leader in waging the war on terror. Although given the state of current political affairs, I think it's safe to say that everybody in this room would have preferred that Fred had entered a career in politics. He still has a few good years left. Or there's one more. Perhaps if he would have answered an even higher calling. Well, In all seriousness, fortunately, Fred didn't choose any of those paths. And instead, he answered God's call to be a teacher. In 1984, he had just finished his doctorate in English at the University of Minnesota, and he attended a personal spiritual retreat. While there, his spiritual director, Father John Hardin, told Fred that he would not pursue English, but instead would teach religion to young people, and he predicted it would happen within a year. St. Agnes wasn't even on Fred's radar, but a phone call in the summer of 1985 changed his life forever. A friend asked him to fill in for a teacher who was on leave. Fred accepted and clearly found a home here. The temporary position turned into a 32-year career of teaching theology at St. Agnes School. In the classroom, thank you. In the classroom, Fred has passed on the Catholic faith to over 3 decades of students. Students who were encouraged to ask tough questions without fear of ridicule or embarrassment. His insightful and honest answers inspired students to delve deeper into their beliefs, and they learned how to defend the faith. Here are a few quotes from former students.
Mr. B was tirelessly devoted to teaching us the truth about Catholic theology and philosophy, and therefore the truth about life. He had the rare ability to present difficult concepts in practical ways that were understandable. He never shied away from discussing controversial topics. I was always impressed by his fearlessness as a teacher. He would open up the floor to every student and invite them to ask any question. Then he would provide the Catholic Church's teaching on the subject in his answer.
One thing I could always count on was that Mr. Blonigen would give you the absolute truth when it came to the Catholic faith, morals, and values. He had the correct answer for everything and always had a calm and kind demeanor. He was never judgmental, but always loving.
The church herself has directly benefited from Fred's tutelage. 18 of his former students are currently discerning or have entered the priesthood or religious life. For example, Allie Pence from the class of 2001 often received detention. Lucky for her, Mr. Blonigen was monitoring the detention hall. "Do you think I can be a nun?" she asked. "Yes," he responded, "though you're not really all that contemplative. You'll probably join a teaching order." Fred's words must have impressed Allie, for she is now Sister Jose Maria of the Nashville Dominicans. As the madrigal singers join me on stage, let's take a moment to see Allie and other former students as they are now. Mary, do you want me to sing with them, or should I? Okay, I'll just be quiet.
Concepite Spiritus Sancto. Ave Maria, gratia Dominus
Thank you. That was beautiful. As a teacher, Mr. Blonigen not only had a tremendous effect on those considering the religious life, but he was admired by all students, regardless of their background or experiences. He was able to convey the truth in a clear, non-judgmental, respectful manner that appealed to Catholics, non-Catholics, and even those who came to St. Agnes with very little understanding of Christianity. They felt comfortable asking questions and were attracted to the faith by his truthful answers and his daily example. Lessons learned from him have remained a foundation and a resource for his former students, many of whom return after graduation seeking his advice. He's helped them to become morally grounded teachers, coaches, physicians, business professionals, tradesmen, spouses, parents who embrace Catholic family life. A few more quotes from former students.
Mr. Blonigen was respected by everyone because he practiced what he preached. He lived his faith every day with his kind works and care for his students. He was often seen going to the chapel, praying the rosary, and fasting on Fridays. To this day, he makes a daily holy hour.
I teach high school religion, and close at hand in my desk drawer are 2 ragged notebooks that contain my religion notes from Mr. Blonigen's classes. I use them often as a reference in my lesson planning.
Mr. B's effectiveness as a teacher is the result of hard work, prayer, and sanctity. I know a lot of people who read, but I don't know anyone who reads as much as Mr. B does. And yet, for all his erudition and scholarship, he remains a simple, humble man with a clear message that the only real tragedy in life is not to be a saint.
Fred's wealth of knowledge and unwavering witness to the faith are a living example of Christ's love. A man of quiet conviction, Fred has shared his wisdom and understanding with hundreds of students. He leaves behind a true legacy at St. Agnes School, and his influence will be evident for many years to come. It is my pleasure to invite to the stage Mr. Fred Blonigen.
I have no notes here, so it'll be short. My wife said, keep it short. I'm not a man of few words usually. I'm deeply humbled by this entire evening, by the tremendous kindness you've shown to me. I want to thank God, first of all, for bringing me to St. Agnes. It was not the vocation that I had in mind, but it was his vocation, and hopefully I answered it in a way that was worthy of him. I want to thank all of the teachers, all the administrators, all the parents, and especially I want to thank all the wonderful pastors we've had at St. Agnes, wonderful priests to lead this parish and school. I thank them deeply. And I want to say in a very special way, I thank the students, for what would a teacher be without students? Thank you very much. God bless you.